Well, that was a good conference. It was a great conference, actually. Hello, everyone. It's Chris. I'm leaving Resorts World Catskills in the Catskill Mountains of New York, heading back to Niagara Falls, and I'm excited about this ride. I will start out by saying that for the first time since I bought my Ultra Guard full cover, I actually used it for this trip. And I want to tell you about it because I love the cover now more than when I bought it. I did a whole video on the cover. In fact, at the end of this video, normally what I do is have YouTube select the best video to offer up to the viewer. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the video that I did on the cover, the Ultra Guard cover. For those of you who may be in the market for a cover, it may be helpful to you. I just put it to use over the past couple of days, and I want to tell you about it. But what I'm going to do is, we're just leaving the resort right now. When we get to the meat of the Catskills, the best parts of it, and I did some homework on the terrain feature of Google Maps, and so I think I know when I'm going to turn the camera back on, when it's really twisty and hilly and whatnot. That's when I'll pick the video back up. Okay, so we are between the towns of Livingston Manor and DuPont, New York, on New York State Highway 17. And based on my look at the terrain map on Google Maps, this is the meatiest part of my journey on the Catskills, and it is, there's a lot of twisties and hills and whatnot. We are right now at 1440 elevation. We've been as high as 1700 on this little journey. I say little, it's about a 5-hour journey today. I will tell you, I am cold. So it's going to be in the mid-70s today, and that's great. So what I have on is my riding jacket, my Tourmaster riding jacket. The zipper vents are zipped up. I don't have the winter lining on it. I won't put that in for another month, I guess, because there's a thermal liner that zips into this, and it really makes it really nice and warm. But all I have underneath it is a t-shirt, because it's going to be in the 70s today. However, it's early in the morning. I shouldn't say early. It's almost 9 o'clock in the morning, and I don't want to hit any of these workers here. And it's only 48 degrees according to the Spyder, 46 degrees according to the Garmin. They've never been that close, but so let's just call it a draw and say it's 47 degrees. And I'm not dressed for it, but that's okay. I've got my heated seat, I've got my heated grips, and they certainly make it more comfortable. But I want to talk to you about the Spyder cover. So I did a whole video on this, and I'm not going to be repetitive of that, but I have the Ultra Guard full cover. As a minimalist, I really wanted the half cover, but I went with the full cover because the only time I'm going to use that cover is when I'm in a hotel in a sketchy area and I'm a little concerned about someone being tempted to do mischief. I understand. I know I'll get comments, well, they can rip that cover off pretty easy. Of course they can. The cover is not meant to be bulletproof. It's not meant to be, you know, a protector of all risk related to the Spyder. It's just meant to be a deterrent as far as I'm concerned. But I haven't used it. I bought it months ago. I shot that video. I can't even remember how long ago it's been since I shot that video. The day I shot that video was the day I lost my wallet. I left it on the back seat of the passenger seat of my Spyder when I was gassing up, and drove away, and I lost my wallet and everything that was in it. And there was oh no, I don't want to hit this. So anyway, I used the Spyder on this trip, not because I had to, because quite frankly, I was in a nice resort. I was parked right up close to the front door. I just did not need to use the Spyder cover, but I wanted to use the cover because I hadn't used it before. This motorcycle was parked for 3 days, and by the way, 3 days where the nights got down into the high 30s, low 40s, and when I started it up this morning, it turned right over. This was probably the first 3-day period where I think the first 3-day period where I didn't start the Spyder, at least during these colder weather months. Now, what concerns me is I can see the fog here, And it concerns me for two reasons. One, if we go through a foggy patch, that's gonna block out the sun and I'll get a little colder. But I'm really concerned because I have the strongest ND filter on the camera, ND filter 36, which is basically the darkest sunglasses you can put on the camera that I own. And that means if we go through fog, I'm not sure what you're gonna see. The video might be really bad, meaning it'll be like almost like dark, and I don't want that. So, but anyway, back to the cover. So we had a bout of rain on the second night, and I went to the Spyder the next morning because the Ultra Guard cover is not waterproof. There are more expensive covers put out by other manufacturers. I forgot the names because it's been a while since I did my homework on that. But they do make waterproof covers, but the Ultra Guard cover is not waterproof, but I believe they say it's water resistant, and it is. So I went out the next morning, and it was almost like the cover was waxed. It was like the rain had beat it up, and I just literally picked up various points of the cover and just like pulled on it, and the water beat it up and just rolled right down. It was just great. And so I'm really thrilled with the cover. It stayed on. Now, we did not have heavy winds, and the clips that the cover has that clip underneath the bottom of the bike, the bottom of the Spyder, I've not figured out the best optimal spots to connect them to yet. But I guess what I'm saying is the cover didn't go through a wind test yet. I'll tell you, this is really beautiful country. This is just beautiful. But based on the first 3 nights of usage for the cover, one which had rain, I love that cover. And I think I mentioned before, but I'm planning a big trip to Florida. It'll be like a 3-week excursion with some weather complications that I'm gonna have to deal with because of the timing of that trip, and I'm just glad I have that cover. I don't know if you can see, but the Garmin GPS, I don't know if it's a setting that I'm using or what, but it shows the terrain, and you can see that it is very reflective of this terrain. It shows the contours very well. And now we're oh, that's a cool river. Now we're going into the fog, so I don't know what's gonna happen in terms of video quality. Oh yeah, that's beautiful. So I will tell you that this video is the video where I'm coming back to Niagara Falls from the Catskills, as I mentioned. I'm gonna do a video on Niagara Falls, Ontario. And I've done a bunch of videos in Niagara Falls, New York, but I'm gonna do a Niagara Falls, Ontario video real soon, and that's gonna be a daylight video. I do want to get to Niagara Falls, Ontario at night, and you'll see why when I do that video, but I don't want to do that until later in the season when it gets dark earlier. Because again, I don't want to, I mentioned this in another video, I don't want to ride out there. I say out there, it's like 3 miles from my house, but I don't want to do that at night. I'm sorry, I don't want to do that at 9 o'clock at night or even 8 o'clock at night. If I just wait another month or so, I can do that at 6 o'clock and still get a dark video for you. But the big videos that I'm really looking forward to are the fall foliage videos. And I'm still in the planning stages of that, but I really want to get back to the Adirondack Mountains because those mountains much more pronounced, much more taller and more twisties. The twisties are more pronounced than here in the Catskills. I really want to get out there for one of my fall foliage videos. I'm thinking of possibly doing a Letchworth State Park video again in the fall, and I really want to get to the Griffith Sculpture Park. I know I've mentioned that in at least one video because you've got to see that. I've got to get off the Spyder to do that video, and I'll be brief. Again, this is a Spyder channel, not a art channel or a touring channel or a wildlife channel. I understand that, but you're going to want to see the Griffith Sculpture Park, which is in the middle of nowhere, and it's this, I'm not an artsy guy at all, but when you walk through that park, I am a walker, I like to hike, it is just breathtaking. The other thing is, I mentioned how I was dressed. I have my Climb mesh gloves. Now, I have my Joe Rocket winter gloves in one of the side cases, but I'm not going to pull them out. I will say the front of my hands are somewhat chilly, let's call it, but the palms are nice and warm because the hand warmers are on. And by the way, the hand warmers and the seat warmers are on the low setting. I'll be honest with you, with these gloves, I can't take the hot setting. I just can't take it. It's too hot, which is a good thing. That tells me when I'm wearing the winter gloves, I'll still feel that warmth. I mentioned in one of my winter videos when I first got the Spyder, I threw out a challenge to somebody who's watching this channel has to know somebody who has a 3D printing machine, because they're getting more and more popular. Can-Am makes snowmobiles, right? Well, not Can-Am. BRP makes snowmobiles called Skidoo. And they make handlebar muffs for snowmobiles and have made them for years. And they're basically, think of it as a mitten that covers the hand grip. So you stick your hand in, and not only do you have heated grips, but you have a cocoon that your hand is in, so you can wear a thin leather glove, or even no glove, and still have your hands nice and toasty warm riding through the snow. I realize Can-Am does not make these for winter snowy riding. I realize that. But I cannot be the only guy who's going to be riding this in cold weather. Somebody, please invent, I'll be the first customer, but design a 3D printed clear plastic, just a thin plastic thing that clamps on right here and comes out like this, kind of somehow attaches here, and I can put my hand here, put my hand in right here, and be nice and warm. If it's clear plastic, the sun, two things. One, the sun will be beating down through it, warming me up as in addition to the heated grips. And two, I'll be able to see the switchgear. One of the problems with a lot of handlebar muffs is, I had this problem with my KTM. I had handlebar muffs, but I couldn't really see the switchgear. And that's a problem. Especially when you have complicated switchgear, especially on the left side on the Spyder. We are now at just under 1,000 feet elevation, but you can see we're coming down into a valley with some pretty cool upper Delaware, pretty cool mountains, Catskill mountains on both sides of us. Emergency detour. Oh yeah, this is beautiful. And as so many of these highways do, this one's following this river. If you can see that out there, just beautiful. And that sun really makes a difference. Of course, it's getting later. It's now just past 9 o'clock. 52 degrees, 54 according to the Spyder. It's getting balmy out. So beyond the fall foliage, I will tell you, just speaking of cold and dressing for the cold, I'm going to definitely do, as soon as we get some, let's say, 30s, 40s, temperatures in Niagara Falls, I'm going to do some cold weather riding tests for you. What I mean by that is, so I can jump on the Spyder and dress with just a pair of jeans and my normal jacket that I'm wearing now, and run to the grocery store no matter how cold it is, and I'll just deal with it, right? We can all do that. But what I want to know is, can I do a ride like this, sustained periods of time on the highways at interstate speeds, 70 miles per hour? At what temperature is that comfortable, for me at least? And my guess is I'm kind of an average person when it comes to that, so it's probably reflective of the greater population. But what layers of clothing do I need for 30s and 40s? I did that with my KTM, but it was a totally different situation. I did not have this canopy in front of me protecting me. In fact, the KTM that I had was a 2022 model, the Adventure, 890 Adventure, and it didn't really have any kind of substantial fairing. They changed it in 23 and they added a fairing that I like. It's actually pretty cool, not only cool looking, better looking, but it's more functional too. And but anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get on the highway, the interstate closest to me, 90, the New York State Thruway, and I'm going to ride for an hour or two when it's in the 30s, when it's in the 40s. And what I'll do is, with this jacket, I'll have my thermal liner zipped in. I'll have a turtleneck over the t-shirt. I'm wearing a t-shirt right now, but I'll have a turtleneck over that. And instead of just my jeans, I'll have a nice thermal layer underneath the jeans. And we'll see at what level, you know, in terms of temperature, I can be comfortable at sustained speeds for a sustained period of time. And I really need to know that because my Florida trip is going to be in March. And the weather in Western New York in March, it could be in the 50s and 60s, it could be in the 20s and 30s. And when I start talking with you about my Florida trip planning, which is going to be complicated not just by the weather, but also by salt on the roads, you'll understand what I mean, and you'll understand why I'm going to do that testing. But I think it'll make for informative videos for everyone who lives in kind of the northern climates, who's either has a Spyder or is interested in the Spyder. So if you found anything about this video helpful, blue skies, that's a good sign. But if you found anything about this video helpful or anything that you liked about it, please hit the like button. Comment on anything that I talked about, whether it's the cold weather riding, whether it's the scenery in the Catskill Mountains or anything else, the cover. And again, I will put a link to the cover video at the end of this video. I think I know how to do that. And if you're one of the many people who watch my videos who don't subscribe, I sure would appreciate it if you would. But again, this is like the first and longest straightaway I've had since I've been riding this morning, I think. But whether you subscribe or not, I really do appreciate you watching my videos. Again, especially those of you who stay till the end. And if you're hearing me now, you did, because this is the end. So thanks so much, and you have a great day. Bye-bye.